Hello, everyone. My name is Rajesh Pichaimani, and I'm a solutions architect at Amazon Web Services. This is going to be a two-part series. In this first session, I'm going to focus on the part one of the security baseline workshop, which focuses on protecting your AWS account. In terms of the agenda, we'll discuss about what are the customer benefits and spend some time on the security baseline workshop, which is available online, and switch to the console, covering through all the steps that is needed and discussed in the part one of the workshop, which is securing your AWS account. And finally, close this session with references. In terms of the objective, customers, irrespective of the industry, that vertical that they are in, have to meet certain business and regulatory requirements. Some industries will need to adhere to more stringent requirements like financial, healthcare, etc. But nevertheless, security is on top of the priority for IT and business leaders. And through this session, we are going to walk through some of the steps that will be used by following the AWS best practices. And what are the benefits? Again, by having these steps implemented very early on, you're already in the right foot in improving your security posture to protect the data, systems, and assets using cloud-native technologies. We'll also touch upon the AWS shared responsibility model in the next slide. What is shared responsibility model? It consists of two parts here. The bottom portion, which is highlighted in orange, focuses on the security of the cloud. And that's taken care by AWS. The top portion, which is on the blue, is the security in the cloud elements. And it is a customer's responsibility to take care of that. When we mention the security of the cloud, it comprises of the compute, storage, networking elements, the host operating system, where you'll be hosting your applications, down to the physical level infrastructure security AWS is responsible for. However, the customer is responsible for the data that they bring in, the applications that they host, and other components such as the packages, the libraries, and other dependencies, whatever is needed for the application to be hosted, that needs to be secured by the customer. To help customer in this journey, AWS Security Services helps to achieve in three different dimensions. One is the identity security, data security, as well as the infrastructure level security. Some of them we will be seeing this in action in the part one in today's session, and some more in the upcoming sessions as well. So I was mentioning about the security baseline workshop and what it is. Here is the link. I'll be posting this in the description as well. This is available to anyone, this link. For folks who will be interested to know more about and have to walk through in your own account or in your organization's account, I'll be focusing in this session on the part one elements as outlined here. And subsequently, the part two series will come up as well. So what is covered in part one? It all starts with recording the accurate account information. The reason being, if there is any security related incident, AWS has the right contact information to contact the right people in your organization to inform the necessary details at the right time. It also proceeds to go on further to highlighting how the root user to be protected. And there are several steps as outlined in this screenshot, which I will be going over by switching to the console. This is a workshop homepage that I was mentioning about. All of the elements that are highlighted within the part 1, I'm going to help you achieve in less than an hour. Let's switch to the console here. The first one is having the accurate account information. Clicking here on the top right. This takes to the account page where you can have all the details recorded. Before I get into the detail, I want to make a disclaimer that all of these are made up numbers, information, etc. And this account will be closed after this recording has been completed. However, there are certain elements that I have to share it in the screen to emphasize on the security, so I have left it as it is. Coming back to the account information, you can click on Edit to make sure that the account information is accurate, account settings. The important ones are here, the contact information, the phone number, the email addresses, etc. And also the alternate contacts. It is advisable to have different aliases for the operations, security, and the billing team. For example, the billing can be taken care by the finance team, security will focus on the security, and the operations team, etc. Obviously, to protect the account, additional security challenge questions are also there. In case if the credentials are compromised, you can use these challenge questions to recover back. So that's the first step here. Second one is security credentials. The key task here is to enable the multi-factor authentication. So I have used an external hardware token device to use it as a multi-factor device here. Okay, so this should be done for the root user. Next, focusing on the identity and access management related tasks. The first one is creating a group. Group, obviously, the name gives it away, which is a collection of users that comprise of from a particular application or a particular team, etc. So here are the here is a group that has already been created. But creating a group is very simple. Just create a group, assign a group name. We do not need to have users right away in this section itself. It is optional. You can add it at the later point of time. Likewise, the policies can be attached at a later point and then create the group. It is as simple as that. The reason for having the group is to have a logical connection so that instead of applying the permissions at every individual users, it is easier to apply the permission at the group level. So it makes it easier for manageability. Next comes the users, creation of user. I have already one created, like S3 read only. It's just a user created for the illustration's sake to indicate that I have attached a permission of read-only access for this user. And this is completely made up name, by the way, right? Just like the user groups, creating a user is very simple. Create user, give the username. At this point, you can either add the group, attach the group to the user, or attach the policies, or you can continue to do as optional items, and you can come back and edit it later. Okay. Before I move to the next one, I also wanted to highlight one more thing that will be needed at the next step, which is policy creation. Policy indicates that it's a collection of permissions that an individual user or or a group will inherit to make some tasks. Here I have created a permission policy, which is a very simple one, which indicates that any resource, anybody can do any action on EC2 instances, compute instances, creating, deleting, stopping, etc. So that's a role as an admin. I have created it and kept it because we will be using it in the next step. If I go back to the policies here and clear the section, you will have some identification like the orange box, which indicates these are the policies that are pre-created and kept, which are AWS managed policies. And certain things can be created by the user, which will not have one as well. Like the one I mentioned here, created by me, does not have this orange box, which is customer managed. So this is one quick little indication to identify whether a permission policy is AWS managed or customer managed. So this is a set of activities that you will be able to use in identity and access management. These users that you are creating in this section will be able to use the AWS Management Console and log in and get the relevant permissions as they are assigned to. The next one is IAM Identity Center. You can search in Identity Center here. First hit is the Identity Center. This is primarily used for single sign-on. If your organization has multiple AWS accounts, it may not be possible to keep track of individual credentials for different accounts. As you move between accounts on a daily basis, it is cumbersome to have different credential information. So this Identity Center makes it easy to have a single sign-on capability as the users move between the accounts. Here again, you can create users. These users are the users that you will be using for moving between the accounts, right? So you can add a user. Just like the previous step, it is very simple. Give a name here, an email address for confirmation, and then finally create it. Right, here are the steps here. So the second step, adding the user to the group, is optional, and finally adding it up. So these simple steps here. I have added one again for speeding up the illustration in this demo. This is Identity Center user one created. And I have attached it to the group as well, which I will come to that shortly. So the group creation, again, very similar to the previous step in creating the user in identity and access management. You can create the group, and you can also add users to the group. It's an optional step here. Okay. So this group here is IDC group created by me for this demo. Okay. You might have noticed that I have not given any permissions to users or groups in this identity center. And we're going to do that in the next step. And that's achieved by going to permission sets. Permission sets are nothing but a collection of permissions grouped into a logical container, right? You can create a permission set. You can pick from a predefined one, which is already down below here. These are the predefined permission sets. or you can create a custom one, which can be a combination of AWS managed policies, customer managed policies, etc. Here, in the previous section here, I have highlighted the AWS managed and the custom one. Exactly why I have set the stage. It is needed here. You can see I need an administrator access, and one of them is selected in the AWS managed policies, and in the customer managed, you can attach the you can give the name of the customer managed policy from the step that was created here, and then attach. The combination of the AWS managed and the customer managed makes up this permission set. And you go on to create one in the step number 4 here. Okay. So that's how I have created one here in these two permission sets. Customer managed policy, just this one alone. And if you go back for the admin, just the AWS managed one as well. So you can have any combination created. Now that we have the users, groups, and permission sets created, you can attach it to the accounts. So here in this account, project 1 account, which is a part of the sandbox OU, I have added the admin permission set. Okay. So those are the tasks that you can do in the identity center. The next one continues to create a cloud trail. Cloud trail is a managed service that tracks all the API related calls. For example, you create an EC2 instance, create a S3 bucket, delete, modify, whatever the case may be. All those activities are tracked as API calls in CloudTrail. By default, all the management accounts are tracked under the event history for 90 days. However, if you want to store it for a longer period of time, we have to persist this data information into S3 for future analysis. And that is done by creating a trail. I have one created. I will show you how it looks like after the creation. So this is a cloud trail to S3 log. I have created a S3 bucket and redirected all the activities there. This is the S3 location. And you can also encrypt it. This can also be logged in CloudWatch logs. And you can also apply additional capabilities to ensure the integrity of the cloud trail is not tampered, etc. But the first step here is turning on the cloud trail for long-term persistence. Creating a trail follows through this one. There are options for using it in a same bucket or a new bucket. In a multi-account strategy, you can also enable this for all the accounts in organizations. So this account and this cloud trail will capture the information from all the member accounts. Okay. So if I enable this, it will have additional questions for the member accounts too. You can have an encryption. And I mentioned the log file integrity validation. Log files redirected to CloudWatch logs, etc. And it will take you to the page to review and create. As you're seeing here, there's a consistency in all of these activities. You see the steps. Some of them which are optional are highlighted, and you can skip them to get started. However, some of them needs to be entered as well, right? So it's a 3-step process. So that's how I ended up creating this cloud trail recently. The next one is blocking the public access for all the accounts. In S3, obviously it's a object store. It is very easy to open up the S3 bucket, and that's a serious security risk as well, right? So by default, all of these are blocked at the account level, and also you can do this at the bucket level as well. The one that you're seeing here is at the account level, which means that no one can access this S3 bucket or all the buckets in this account. You can also do this at the bucket level. Properties. Sorry, permissions. Block all public access, which means that no one can reach this bucket unless it is permission, unless the permission is given. Continuing on, we are moving to CloudWatch alarms. There are two alarms that are created in the part of the part 1 series. The first one is related to billing alarm. This billing alarm indicates that anything above $100, set up a notification to someone. Okay, the action here is it sends to a simple notification service topic, CloudWatch billing alarm. And I'll just show you in just a second of how that whole flow works look like. Before that, there's one more alarm that has been created as guidance from the workshop. This is root account use alarm. The steps are outlined in this here. What it indicates is if some malicious user tries to log in to the root account, it notifies the right set of people as outlined in the configuration. Going back to this, there are some configuration that's outlined in the step, as I mentioned, some filter values here that needs to be done here. I'm going through down below, setting up root account use alarm manually. So this filter pattern indicates that anyone with the root account notify and trigger an action. That's what is highlighted here. And again, the same thing happens, at least for this particular discussion. I'm going to send to the topic another SNS topic, but with the same destination, which should be notify me, right? And I have to use the root account to show this demo. And that's why every time I log in to this account, I get an email notification that somebody is using the root account. And that's why you are seeing this as in alarm, meaning I am logged in. However, the system is indicating back that I have logged in. So few more steps in part 1, making sure we clean up all the unused VPCs, subnets, security groups, etc. Here you're seeing a couple of VPCs, number 3 subnets here created. I have this set up for another demo, and that's why you're seeing a high number, but you can filter them just for your use. Here's a default VPC. And if you're turning off the filter, it will show you all the subnets available for all the VPCs. But this is to illustrate that soon after my demo is completed for the other purpose, I will be cleaning it up as well. Okay. VPCs, subnets, security groups, etc. trusted advisor provides some recommendations and alerts you at the home page whenever something happens. There are few sections here: cost optimization, performance, security, fault tolerance, service limits, operational excellence. By default, all the service limits related information and some security portion is available by default. For the rest of them, the customer has to purchase a different support plan to get all the trusted advisor checks. However, I will show you the details in the security. Here you are seeing that there are no alerts or red marks indicated. So, and down below, you're seeing this. After the first few items, you're also seeing that the rest of the security group, we need to have the AWS support plan to turn it on. What this indicates also is it will not only highlight certain elements, what needs to be done, but it will also provide some recommended actions. This comes in handy for the customers immediately what needs to be notified. Okay. And going back to the dashboard, it will show you what action needs to be taken, etc. Finally, we are coming to the end of the part 1, which concludes with the guard duty service. Guard duty is a fully managed service for threat detection. It analyzes the data from various sources, such as CloudTrail, CloudWatch management, VPC flow logs, DNS logs, etc., and presents you with the findings in terms of high severity, medium, low severity, etc., to take corrective action. What you're seeing here is something here, which I have enabled this for my account. Here are some of the capabilities of what is covered here: S3 protection, EKS, etc. Some of them are on by default. Some we have to enable it as a part of additional service. Here I go in for the settings. One thing we can do is, if you are using a multi-account strategy, you can delegate one member account to be a delegated administrator, quote unquote, and that member account will be an administrator for guard duty, which indicates that this account can collect the findings from various member accounts and have it as a centralized location. So you're basically saying one account, say you are the admin for guard duty findings. Go and collect on everyone's behalf and report me the findings. That's the message here. And some of them are configured, etc. You can also suspend or disable. Suspend means it's a temporary activity. Certain findings, the findings are not deleted. However, disabling means it'll take away all the information that's already been stored up until now. Here, when you're doing this for the first time, you will not see this kind of a dashboard. Rather, you will see something like get started or getting started, click to sign up or something like that, very close to that. However, since I have already signed up, I have to go back and maybe I can do suspend and then come back and re-enable back here again. If you're not finding anything for a couple of days, just to get some hang of how the information will look like, you can go to the settings and say generate sample findings, and it'll just use some mock-up data to generate the findings and display it here. Obviously, those are not the actual resource or the findings. It is just to get a feel if you're doing it for a POC or something before getting into the production. This particular finding that you're seeing here is the root account use. When I just logged into this account as a root user to demonstrate this session, that's what it's showing it as. It's a low severity one. Okay. So these are the quick set of steps that you will be able to do to secure an account, starting with your own account information, identity and access management, users, groups, and policies, identity center. We have created users, groups, and the permission sets, cloud trails, turning it on, S3 buckets, bucket policy, and block public access, CloudWatch alarms, 2 alarms, one is for the billing, another one for the root account use. Another one is cleaning up of all the VPCs, trusted advisor, and last but not the least, the guard duty. I'll switch back to the presentation to wrap it up. Here are some of the references. All of these information are part of the security pillar in the well-architected framework. This is a separate subject on its own that we can cover in a separate session. We talked about the shared responsibility model. And here is a link for all the security offerings from AWS page. And this is a link for the security baseline workshop that we are all covering it as a part of the entire session today. That brings us to the end of the session here. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the second part series. Thanks a lot.